team leader of Keller Williams Realty Fresno, and I'm so glad you guys are here today. It's October 21st, and this is our team meeting, and just like we always do, we're going to start with something good. So tell me something good. Yes, Michelle.
Okay, week 1, day 1 in real estate. I've done 2 Evid forms. I've hosted 3 open houses. I got my first escrow in, $500,000, and I'm learning so much. And
yeah!
Thank you for all the support and the encouragement and everybody. It really made the transition very nicely. Thanks.
Good job. Way to go. Who else has a something good? Greg.
We picked up 4 new listings this week.
4?
Has to get them on the MLS. We'll get them on there today and tomorrow.
Wow. Greg got 4 listings this week. Fantastic. All right. Who else has a something good? Mel, what's your something good?
We had 2 open houses this last Sunday. One in Old Fig and one in Fresno High. The one in Old Fig is in escrow, and the one in Fresno High, we're going to go over the offer with the seller. Got that by yesterday.
So both of your open houses are going into escrow. Fantastic. Good job. All right, I have time for one more. Yes.
I work really good. It's a total aside, but we've been here for about 5-6 weeks, and my something good is these Tuesday meetings. Just I worked with a lot of companies over the years and a lot of independent contractors. Everybody in this room, nobody has to be here, which I think is really phenomenal. Every Tuesday we fill the house, and kudos to the local office and Joanna and company for what they do, because obviously there's a reason that everybody comes here. We come here because we want to, and it's valuable. And about 3 weeks ago we went to a meeting, and it was really funny. Neither one of us are licensed, but we walked out of the meeting. It was the end of the day, and we were wrapping up saying goodnight, and I feel good today. I felt good too. We're both like, man, we just had a great day, which usually means we signed somebody, we billed somebody, we made some money or a commission. And we both look at each other and like, but we didn't do anything today. It just gives the meeting. We were just so pumped up. It's like, what a great day. So anyways, kudos to the office for that. I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the 6 personal perspectives, not all 6. In Keller Williams, this is a foundational course. And if you walk down the hall over there, you'll see all of the personal perspectives on the wall. Today, we're going to talk about the 80-20 principle. And I know you all know it well. That's the Pareto principle, right? And what does it say?
80% of the business is carried out by 20% of the business.
Okay, so it could be 80% of the business is carried out by 20% of the people. What else can it mean?
80% of your business comes from 20% of your activities.
80% of your business comes from 20% of your activities. Does anyone know it another way?
80% of our agents will be in production and 20% won't be.
That's right. So you all know we have a really large goal at Keller Williams, and that is first and foremost to be in business with learning-based people who are high-minded and want to grow businesses, correct?
Correct.
And our second is that we desire for 80% of our associates to close a deal every month. All right? Last week I read to you about Jaime Escalante. Do you guys remember that? Yes. That was a great story, right? So today, before we watch this video, I'm going to read another little story to you about the law of priorities. And this is great. Again, it comes from my John Maxwell workbook. It's just the workbook. It's not the big, thick book. So I love it because it gives us little stories each week, and then we can talk about them. So let me read this to you. Examine the lives of all effective leaders, and you will see them putting priorities into action. Every time Norman Schwarzkopf assumes a new command, he didn't just rely on his leadership intuition. He also re-examined his unit's priorities. Lance Armstrong was able to win 7 Tour de France championships because his priorities guided his training regimen. When explorer Ronald Amundsen succeeded in taking his team to the South Pole and back, it was due in part to his ability to set the right priorities. Successful leaders live according to the law of priorities. They recognize that activity is not necessarily accomplishment. If you have a pen, will you write that down? Activity is not necessarily accomplishment. And will you be my scribe? But the best leaders seem to be able to get the law of priorities to work for them by satisfying multiple priorities with each activity. This actually enables them to increase their focus while reducing their number of actions. Increase their focus while reducing their number of actions. A leader who was a master that was one of my idols, John Wooden, the former head basketball coach of the UCLA Bruins. He's called the Wizard of Westwood because the amazing feats he accomplished in the world of college sports were so incredible that they seemed to be magical. Evidence of Wooden's ability to make the law of priorities work for him could be seen in the way he approached basketball practice. Wooden claimed that he learned some of his methods from watching Frank Leahy, the great former Notre Dame head coach, and I'm sorry if I said his name wrong. He said, "I often went to his practices and observed how he broke them up into periods. Then I would go home and analyze why he did things certain ways. As a player, I realized there was a great deal of time wasted. His concepts reinforced my ideas and helped me in the ultimate development of what I do now. People who have served in the military say they often have to hurry up and wait. That seems to be true in sports too. Coaches ask their players to work their hearts out 1 minute and then stand around doing nothing the next. But that's not the way Wooden worked. He orchestrated every moment of every practice and planned each activity with specific purpose in mind. He employed economy of motion. Here's how he worked. Every year, Wooden determined a list of overall priorities for the team based on observations from the previous season. Those items might include objectives such as build confidence in Droller and Ergovich, or use 3-on-2 continually drill at least 3 times a week. Usually he had about a dozen or so items that he wanted to work on throughout the season. But Wooden also reviewed his agenda for his teams every day. Each morning he and his assistant meticulously planned the days practiced. They usually spent 2 hours strategizing for a practice that might not even last that long. He drew ideas from notes, jotted on 3x5 cards that he always carried with him. He planned every drill minute by minute and recorded the information in a notebook prior to practice. Wooden once boasted that if you asked what his team was doing on a specific day at 3 o'clock in 1963, he could tell you precisely what drill his team was running. Like all good leaders, Wooden did the work of thinking ahead for his team. Wooden always maintained his focus. He found ways for his players to do the same thing. His special talent was for addressing several priority areas at once. For example, to help players work on their free throws, something that many of them found tedious, Wooden instituted free throw shooting policy during scrimmages that would encourage them to concentrate and improve instead of just marking the time. The sooner a sideline player made a set number of free throws, the sooner he could get back into action. And Wooden continually changed the number of shots required of the guards, forwards, and centers so that the team members rotated in and out in different rates. That way, everyone, regardless of position or starting status, got experience playing together, a critical priority for Wooden's development of teamwork. The most remarkable aspect about John Wooden and the most telling about his ability to focus on his priorities is that he never scouted opposing teams. It was never his goal to win championships or even to beat the other team. His desire was to get each person to play his potential and to be the best possible team on the floor. And of course, Wooden's results were incredible. In more than 40 years of coaching, he only had 1 losing season, his first. And he led UCLA teams to 4 undefeated seasons and a record 10 NCAA championships. No other college team has ever come close. Wooden was a great leader. He might just be the finest person to coach in any sport. Why? Because he lived the law of priorities. Isn't that cool? So I spent time last night on YouTube researching everything I could about John Wooden. I looked into the statement that they made in the book that he never scouted for opposing teams, and he clarified that remark in an interview by saying, what I meant was I knew what the other players were good at, but I didn't spend all of my time and focus watching the tapes and studying their moves. Instead, my time was best spent developing my players and my team members so that they each performed at a high level. The other thing is he was a man of extreme integrity. In fact, they said that he was so square, you could cut him in half and he'd be symmetric. He married his high school sweetheart, who he met when he was 14 years old. At the time of one of the interviews I watched, she had been gone for 24 years, but every day on the 21st, he writes her a love letter. And he says that those are personal. He doesn't even show those to his children. But the one thing that everyone needs to know is the most important thing is love. In fact, he has it inscribed on his mantle. It just says love. Because he says that's the one thing you know. When you go into it and you care for people and you want to make a difference in their lives and you love them, that's enough, right? Yeah. So one of the things that this book brought up, and my team talked about it a little bit yesterday, but there are 3 things that we need to think about when we're setting our priorities and establishing priorities. So the first one is preparation. The next thing we're going to talk about are the 3 R's. And the 3 R's are something that you really need to think about when you're establishing your priorities. So first of all, what's required of me? Second of all, what's going to give me the greatest return? And third, what brings the greatest reward? So let me ask, will you share with me some of your priorities? Your family. I was hoping you would say that. Myrna.
Lead generation.
Okay, lead generation for your business. Okay, what's another priority?
My health.
My health. All right, another priority.
Faith.
My faith.
Continuing education.
Continuing education. Great priority. Okay, so write your priorities down real quick. Just real quick. And maybe you only have one. Maybe your priority is your family. Okay, here's what we're going to cover next, real quick. I've made a little worksheet for you. The questions are, who's an example of someone in the profession who always seems to be on track with the right priorities? To what do I attribute that ability? Give an example of how activity is not necessarily accomplishment. How do I currently prioritize my responsibilities? What is required of me? What gives the greatest return? What brings the greatest reward? What tasks that do not bring a high return can I delegate to someone else? What tasks that I do not bring a high reward that I can stop doing altogether? You guys know you're doing some things that you could just totally stop. And by doing so, it would free up a whole lot of time. How can I define my top 20% priorities? How will I dedicate time, energy, and resources to these top priorities? What reward do I expect from focusing on my top priorities? And the last one is really important. Who will I ask to keep me accountable to my top priorities, and how will we discuss my priorities? So anybody in the room can take one of these, and I would encourage you to look them over. And next, I want to show you a quick video from the 6 personal perspectives on the 80-20 principle.
I'm David Osborne, and I'm committed to the 80-20 rule. When I was a realtor selling in Austin, I found that you could generate more sales by working harder. Well, when I moved up to Dallas and opened my first market center in 1997, and then took over 2 failing market centers in 1998, the number of hours I worked was not sustainable to the chores that I had. See, the challenge with how I worked was I treated everything equally. If the computer broke, or if I had an important client or recruit, to me it was just a task that needed to be done. I started at A and worked my way down to Z every day. But when I moved up to owning offices as an operating partner, I couldn't get to Z. In fact, I could rarely get to M or even E. There was so much to do. So the stress was building on me. I couldn't work any more hours, and eventually I began to take a physical toll from the stress. I was burning out. In fact, I was burning out so badly that I realized that I was not the right one to do the job. So I decided I was going to replace myself. So as I began the process then of looking for someone to replace myself, I started treating the job just as you would when you were going on vacation. By nature, I started doing only the most important things, the 80-20 rule, the top 20%. Well, as soon as I started doing that, 2 things occurred. One is I started having more fun, and 2 is I started to get better results. So once I was having more fun and getting better results, I found my replacement. It was me. I just had to change the way I approached life. So it goes back to goal setting, prioritizing those goals, and then keep focused on the big rocks. I may have 35 goals a year, but I have 5 big rocks a year, and if those big rocks happen, I'm going to have a magnificent year. And then of the other 25 to 30 goals, if I hit 20 of them, it's great. It's not a 100% thing. It's shots at goal, not scores. But the big rocks, you better believe those are going to happen. So that's how I keep my eye on the ball, is just by setting goals and following through on my goals and my dreams and my visions.
Good video, huh? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. What are your goals? Yes, Virginia.
What I've had to learn to do, and it's kind of difficult, is I've got so many things going on, but I have to take time to focus on my relationship with Jim, because he needs me to focus on my relationship and spend time with him, whether it be going for lunch even though I'm busy, or taking him on a train ride for his birthday. That's something that I have to make sure I do every week, to take time to spend time with him.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, what happens inside?
I feel bad. I feel guilty. I know I should do it, but I know I'm busy. But that's important. I have to do that.
Well, because that's right there, always nagging in your brain. Are you as effective as you could be at your job?
And then if I take the time to do that, he lets me alone sometimes to do my work.
Okay, good.
Sometimes he lets me alone.
Great. So Jim is a priority.
Yeah.
Good. And you are making time for Jim on your calendar. That's awesome. That's why the calendaring activity that we suggest that you do is so important. You guys know what that is, right? That's taking a look at next year already and sitting down and saying, okay, my family is my priority. And most of you in here have families who are your priority. There may be a few of you who don't. And so you have another priority, and that's okay. But for most of us, we have families or elderly parents. And so it's making that time important and putting it on the calendar first. It's looking at all of the days that you're going to be in training, because you want to be learning and growing all the time. Being learning based is exactly what you want. You're getting better for everyone. So you want to make sure that you already have those opportunities for learning blocked off on your calendar. Now listen, you might not know the exact dates. Mike, do you know all the dates for the CCIM courses yet? He does not, but guess what? When we sat down together and we did his map, his personal growth plan for 2015, we put it on there. Because if he has to erase it and write it in a different month, big deal. But if it's not on there, is it likely that it'll happen? No, it'll get looked right over with, because there's always work to fill the space. Right? So I really want to encourage you to sit down and think about your priorities. What exactly is it that you want? Now listen, even Coach Wooden said that he had lots of priorities, just like Dave Osborne did. But sometimes he had to focus on the ones that were going to get him to the next priority, right? So if your goal or what you're thinking about is so big that at this moment it seems unreachable, then refocus for a second and say, hey, listen, this is a process, not an event. And I'm going to set small, attainable goals to get to where I need to be. But I'm going to make sure that my focus is are my priorities. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So let's move on to our 100-day plan real quick. We are entering week 3 of our 100-day plan, which means we've already got 14 days behind us, and we're going to be in days 15 through 21. If you haven't done week 1 or week 2, don't beat yourself up. It's never too soon to start.
Do you have those for us that didn't get it?
I have week 2 in my office, and we can easily get week 1 for you. Absolutely. But I want to talk real quick about week 3. Bob, will you help me get those out to everybody? Nahid came to me with a really good point. She's like, what's this exercise all about? Why do I really need to go and, do you mind me telling them? And view all these, I'm already doing it. Well, you're here. You know, the rule is if you're not here, we can talk about you. And so Nahid wants to become the expert in her own neighborhood. And so what should she be doing every single day? Previewing the property that's available in her neighborhood so that she can become the expert. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but not every Keller Williams office has KW Connect. Did you know that? No. So KW Connect is our video library, and only market centers that choose to pay $500 a month to have KW Connect have it. We've paid $500 a month to have KW Connect for our agents since we've opened, because we feel that those videos are so important for you. So please take advantage of that. That's another value add being here. Hold 2 open houses this week. You can hold 2 open houses on Saturday, or an open house on Sunday, or an open house on Wednesday. Guess what? You can do an open house any day of the week. In fact, there is an agent with Keller Williams who says, I don't even go to the office anymore. I just go to my open house and set up. And he open houses at a different house, or maybe even the same house, 5 times a week. That's where he checks in for work, is at an open house. He spends 3 or 4 hours open housing all the time. He sells the houses and he grows his database. Meet with your productivity coach, group or individual. Build your KW website. Say your affirmations daily. Attend an Ignite session if available, and if not, attend another training session. Complete your homework for the week. Now we can scratch out Ignite. This is homework for the week. Attend script practice. When is our script practice? 8:30. Find a partner and role play 30 minutes for a minimum of 2 days a week. Add 20 new people to your database. If you're open housing, that ought to be a breeze. Mail letters to 25 people in your database. Call the 25 people you mailed letters to last week. Here's the thing, you guys. If you're putting this on your schedule, these things on your schedule to do, your time blocking for them, you'll get to them. You'll do them. Write a thank you note or a great to talk with you note, and enclose your business card. Enclose business cards when you're paying bills. Preview a minimum of 25 homes and record in your Speakeasy book. Remember, when you show a property, it also counts as a preview, right? So if you're out showing, you get credit for previewing as well. Attend a team meeting and a property tour. Complete your accountability forms and turn it into your productivity coach. This will be fine. This is accountability right here. Complete a 411. And complete all assignments given to you by your coach. Who wants to read the 3 paragraphs for me on the front? Okay, Greg, nice and loud.
Remember that by not completing the tasks assigned, you may be delaying a paycheck. Keep focused and expect the best. If you have buyers and sellers you are working with, place the appointments in your schedule and block ample time to prepare for them. Do not give up your time for lead generation. You time block lead generation just like an appointment. After all, you wouldn't give up one appointment for another, you would keep both. So the rule is, when you erase, you must replace. So anytime you erase lead generation time, you must complete it another time. You must lead generate every day.
That's right, every single day. You want to know a trick that Brian does? He books slots for the signing rooms to meet with clients, even if he doesn't have the client booked yet. What he then goes and does is fills that time slot with the right person. So he always has them reserved, and if he doesn't need them, he can let them go. But his goal is to fill those slots. And you do. Amazing how that happens, right?
Every day I come in to lead generate from about 8:30 to 10:30, a couple hours a day. I know that if I keep my phone on and I'm looking at my cell phone, if I don't immediately plug in my headset and start going to my lead generation calls, whether it's my database, computer lead generation systems that are coming in, whatever it is I decide to call that day, or a mixture of them, if I don't do that right away, I open up my computer and I turn on my email, or I answer my phone, or start responding to text, I'm totally screwed.
Yep.
It doesn't work that way. Then you just, and I did it today. And so now I've got to fit it in this afternoon. You know, I only had one appointment today, so I could fit it in. But see, I could have used that time a lot better because I allowed myself to get out of that. I'm sharing that with you because I'm pretty sure many of us are going through that. And it takes a training. It takes a mindset to come in. I'm not going to get, nothing's going to fall apart in 2.5 hours. I've never seen it happen. But we like to think it will because they need us.
Mm-hmm.
So some food for thought. If you do that, you'll probably get sidetracked and won't get to your lead generation that day.
Thank you. And
this is your 20%.
That comes from one of the biggest and best lead generators in our office, so I appreciate that.
Joanna, can I maybe a mindset change on script practice?
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it as something I have to show up and do, look at your day and look to see what difficult calls do I need to make today? What client do I need to address? What is on my goals to accomplish today? And come in and practice that conversation you're going to have. And it will change how you, I saw Jared up here practicing his speech. He was in here by himself behind the podium. He was dressed in a tie, practicing what he was going to say to a room full of people.
Yep.
Take that time in the morning to do that, and that difficult call will just go away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so here's what's going on the rest of this week. A couple things to point out to you. We're going to have a fantastic productivity coaching class today, as well as contract strategy at 4. On Tuesday, our tech topic is Mac updates. And also on Tuesday, we're having a real estate info night. If you have anyone who's interested in learning more, Thursday, more about Keller Williams, they can come that night. We're also doing a profit sharing class at 11 o'clock for those of you who are interested in learning more about profit share. Speaking of that, today's the 21st. So if you are eligible to receive profit share, you ought to check your bank account. Here's what's coming soon to a Keller Williams or Fresno Association of Realtors office near you. I'm encouraging you to be at risk management. It's almost mandatory. You'll be receiving a call from someone on our team today or tomorrow or Friday, encouraging you to be there. I'm also hoping you'll get to Agent Financials in Campbell and the Business Planning Clinic in Campbell as well. These are really important for your business. All right, you want to do the numbers?
Sure. Okay, so countdown to 80% in production. We have 33.9% as of today. So if you haven't turned in your green sheet for October, turn it in so we can add your name to this list. So this is everybody who has contributed to that 80% in production. So congratulations to all of you that did. Performance metrics. This is where you guys get to see the lovely graph that I made. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So this is comparing our office to the Fresno MLS in listings sold. So for volume, the MLS is up 6%, but we're up 29.1%. Pretty awesome. Yeah. In units, the MLS is down 11%, but we're up 27.2%.
Good job.
And I'll get a flyer out to you guys later today with this graphic on it so that you can use it in your business and your presentations as well. Okay, the numbers. KW Cares. This month we've donated $228 for a total of $8,513, which is awesome. Central Valley Cares, $160 for a year-to-date total of $5,536. And the KW Family Fund, $81 for a total of $1,284. So good job, you guys. That's awesome.
That's good giving.
Good giving. Okay, more numbers. Closings this month, we've had 47 so far for a year-to-date total of 796, which means we only have 584 to go. You guys ready?
Ready.
Okay. Listings, we've taken 32 this month for a year-to-date total of 582. And then contracts written is where we base our 80% in production. So we've done we've written 53 contracts this month for a year-to-date total of 903.
So real quick, last month you all wrote 105 contracts.
Wow.
So we're on the 21st and we have a long month this month, and so I'm expecting that more of you will be putting things into escrow, and so that's a pretty accurate number. That lets me know that you guys are on track to do just about what you did last month. Keep up that activity, because you know those contracts that you put into escrow today are going to be what carry you in to the next quarter, right?
Okay, closings. This is who had a closing for last week. Mike Bustamante. Omar Seha had his first KW closing. Congratulations. Stephen Chen, Four-Tier Enterprises. Victoria Contreras. Todd Earnhardt had 2. Rachel Engel had 2. Ben Martin team. Mel Kilner team. Greg Kozareff. Chrissy Major's team had 2, and she just had a baby, so she hasn't even been in the office. Jennifer Martin and Associates. Patrick McKenzie, Michelle Pettis, Frank Phillips, Marlene Purcell had 2. Greg Wright had 3. You're leading the board. M. Sensney had his first KW closing. Congratulations, M.
Good job.
And Lindsay Thompson. So congratulations to everybody who had a closing last week.
Nice.
Good job.
So listings last week, we have Sandy Hornacher, Mel Kilner team, Ben Martin team, Patrick Prince team, Lindsay Thompson, and Gary and Deborah White. Congratulations, guys. That's awesome. All right. And I did not make this joke for you guys. This is still Herb's joke. So laugh for me anyways, okay?
Disclaimer.
How does NASA organize their parties? They plan it.
It's perfect, right? Don't you think it's perfect for our topic today? Hey, before we send you out of here, I just want to encourage you to set your priorities and stick to them, okay? We hope that you have a wonderful day, that you do your homework, and that you love each other, okay? That's easy. All right, have a good day. Thank you.